we're the 9 to 5 Misfits, back again to help you crush unemployment and find success on your own terms. Today for our Getting Real segment, we have a guest, an ultimate misfit in the Desi community.
So this is Sujan Patel.
Yeah!
He is a growth marketer extraordinaire and also a co-founder of a company called WebProfits. You guys should look it up.
Yeah.
Also, he's written for several publications like Forbes, Inc., Entrepreneur,
Casual.
Yeah. And then he's also written a book, which I actually bought last year, which is amazing. So it's called 100 Days of Growth, and I would encourage you to check out like all of his stuff, including his newsletter, all that stuff, because it is incredibly valuable. So we'll link all that stuff below. But let's get right into it.
Hey Sujan, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for the warm welcome. I'm super proud to talk to you guys. You're very animated. I'm like getting energized. Getting energized. Awesome. So yeah, I run WebProfits. I've been doing digital marketing for 14 years now.
Okay.
I kind of fell into it. I dropped out of school.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
How dare you, Desi?
Yeah, exactly. The typical brown journey, right?
Yeah.
I became a doctor. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, and I've been doing digital marketing for 14 years. I've kind of worked half in-house, and I didn't think of myself as an employee. I was just getting bored. I hated the bureaucracy and I hated meetings, and like I would always figure out a way around doing the crap that people wanted me to do to get ahead, and I just kind of kept jumping up from like a low level, like entry level employee to, you know, marketing manager, you know, director, and then I was like, well, I don't see a good career trajectory for me. I'm kind of capped, and I was like 22, 23, so I'm like, I gotta do something more. So that's when I started an agency. I was a marketer, so I was like, how do I make more money? Do this for multiple people instead of for one. So I started a company called Single Grain, and ended up selling that for after 5-6 years. Took it to about $3 million in annual revenue. Didn't know what I was doing because I was like 21 at the time, 22, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, 3 million sounds.
Yeah, 3 million sounds like, kid, what a slacker.
So now, you know, fast forward a couple of years, now I have WebProfits, another agency, even though I swore off consulting when I sold Single Grain. I took 2 years off, actually took a job, which was really weird, going back from entrepreneur to employee. And it was with one of my clients. They found out I was no longer with the agency, and so they approached me, and my goal was to learn the ins and outs of SaaS world and getting really back hands-on, because over the course of 5 years, I got really, really rusty, because I went from doing marketing to managing a team that did marketing to having an executive assistant and managers. So I was just so far away from like actually doing stuff that I wanted to get back hands-on. And that 2 years kind of off really helped me blow up my career. And I started focusing on my personal brand, wrote the ebook, and I wrote the ebook primarily to build my personal brand because I knew I was going to launch marketing tools. I didn't know what, I knew something in this space, and so and that helped me. I had a very concrete goal, and you know, here I am.
Yeah. On Tuesday we talked about misfits like us, like when is it the right time to quit your job? Because it's a huge process, like to go through that. So I know with your experience, you quit your job. So what went through your mind? Like, would you give advice to people who are going through that? Because it's not an easy decision.
Yeah, it's not an easy decision. Quitting your job to like start your own thing, there's never a perfect time. There's never a good time. There's never enough information. But I think the longer you wait, the worse it gets. The harder the decision. Make sure you have enough in your savings account to live off for 6 to 12 months. I think that's a minimum thing. Because if you're gonna quit to be an entrepreneur, you need to make sure you have enough of a runway to like live, just a bit, right? And so maybe reduce the spending and things like that. Or like for me, the first time I quit, my wife was just getting a job. So she had a job, we can live off of like her income. The second time, she was in school, but I had enough savings and I was actually making enough money. So both times I quit because I had enough kind of side income coming in that I'm actually not that big of a risk taker in terms of quitting jobs, but I had enough of a side income to actually where it didn't make sense for me to continue working. At Oversea.net, this was 2008, and you know, I was making really good money at the time, but this is when I realized a couple of things. My career the next 10 years of my career would be incremental improvements in salary and position. And I'm like, that's crappy. I was 22 or 23. I was like, I don't want to be like incrementally getting better to 33. Or like just slightly increasing pay, slightly increasing responsibilities, whatever. And I also, I experienced 2 rounds of layoffs for the company. The second round was me laying off my team. I built a team of 8 people, and then I laid off all but 1 person. And the decision was given to me, and the people to lay off was given to me. So like I had the list, I knew there was layoffs coming, and the morning of, they said, here's the people who are gonna get laid off. And I'm like, this is really screwed up. Like, how do I not even have, like, why do I not have control of my own team? And like, I didn't even know if I was one of the guys who were gonna get laid off. So this was like this really crappy, they did a huge round of layoffs and all that stuff. So Friday morning, laid off my whole team, I'm like, this sucks. And you know, the industry's hot. There's, you know, I'm getting poached all the time. So I could get another job, or I can go do something else. And in the back of my mind, and actually all along the time of my career, I was doing a little bit of consulting on the side. It's like side hustle, doing one client here and there. So what I did is I figured out a way to actually convince my boss to turn me into a consultant. So for him, it saves a head count, it reduces income, like it reduces cost. And we had all these like contractors and stuff like that. I was like, I'll do all of these people's jobs. And we're spending 30, 40 grand. I was like, but all you have to pay me is like 20 grand. And that was like way more than my salary. So I figured out a way to get more than my salary to be a contractor. And I knew he was a financial guy, so I appealed on that level. And then I had 2 bosses. One was like a really good people person, a good manager. I told her about what I want to do in my career. I wanted to be an entrepreneur ultimately. And so I was like, this is a good timing because I just got rid of my team. You guys can save costs. And then to the financial VP, or the general manager of the company, I was like, hey, you're a financial guy, let me just run the numbers by you. Oh, by the way, I also want to be an entrepreneur. So like, I got them both at what they actually care about, right? So one cares about money, one cares about people and their trajectory in life. And Kathy, the manager that cares about the people, she's a good mentor. She taught me a lot of the stuff that I've continued to do to my team and people I work with. So like, I actually help graduate people that work for me into a new job. So like I usually help them get the next job or 2 because I know there's one, selfishly, a controlled exit is better than an uncontrolled exit. And 2, that when you know they're kind of ready for the next thing, and if they're looking, you might as well help them be proactive about it, and instead of them being slacking off, whatever, and be upfront like, hey, in a year or 2 or 3 years, whatever, we're just gonna help you get the next thing. But anyways, back to the question at hand, I turned my job into a consulting client, and I gave myself I had a 9-month contract. I think it was like March to the end of that year. I had until to either do very little for this company and just kind of coast through and not go to the office, just hang out, or, and this kind of reminded me back in college, I was like, I had back against the wall 1 year to build an agency. And why an agency? I don't know. Every marketer in the world, it's really stupid. Every marketer in the world wants to do consulting because they're like, if I can do it once, I can do it for 5 people and make 5 times as much, or just something of that nature. It doesn't require any new skill besides, well, it does, but they don't know it, besides doing what you do.
Just multiple
times. But it's really hard because you actually are running a business, and that's a very different situation. And I think a lot of people fail and they get stuck at the small business. But yeah, so that's kind of the first time around. The second time around, now I've had a win. I had sold the company. Remember, I didn't have a win in my mind. I was like, oh, this is a failure. So I was like, I'm gonna go get a job. And my goal when I sold the company was like, let me go back in-house, get my hands dirty, and learn the ins and outs of SaaS so I can become a better marketer and I can leapfrog into like a CMO at a large corporation or be an entrepreneur again. So I gave myself 5 years. And I was like, my goal is to leave this company with a win. So meaning I had an exit with the company, and also to do a SaaS business. And so I moved to Minnesota, which is a very different work-life balance than California, New York, or kind of like what I'm used to. And so I was like bored, just bored. And my wife was still getting her MBA, so I was like, let me use this time to get my MBA, which was execution. So I started building a SaaS company now called Mailshake.com, which is 10,000 customers. And so now it's successful. I started building this thing on the side. I found a co-founder in Indianapolis. I emailed him. I was like, hey, I have this idea, you should join me. Convince him to join me. This is all on the side. And I told my boss, like, hey, I'm just gonna play around because I'm bored.
Yeah.
Like, there's not enough work for me to do here, but after hours gonna do this. And he and I had a really good relationship because he was a client of mine before, and he didn't really like interview to hire me. He just said, like, you have a job, do you want this job? We really want you to be here. So there's a lot of mutual respect, and I was very open and honest the whole time with him. And in fact, like a lot of the things I was testing at home and, you know, on my side hustle, I would actually apply at work. I'm like, hey, look, I tested this small little thing. I think it can work for us here. And so I never let it really get in the way. And so anyways, that was doing well, and I ended up picking on more consulting clients. I swore it off, and somehow I ended up back there. I picked up more consulting. Yeah, exactly. But I think the 2-year break really re-energized me. I was just burned out. Turns out, right? I was just burned out. And I took on consulting clients to help bootstrap the SaaS product. And so I used a lot of my salary, all of the money I earned from consulting to put back into this product to grow it. It's about $100,000 we spent that year, and it wasn't working. So that's a whole other story. But like over the course of 2 years, I'm actually making way more money doing consulting, and I'm doing it on the side than I am in my day job. Yeah. So I told my boss, I'm like, hey, remember that thing you said that when you're ready to leave, you tell me? That's what he was always telling me, like, be upfront. Like, I think I'm ready.
Yeah.
And so I was like, but I'll give you a 6-month notice, or like no timeline. Let's start to back me off. So I switched to doing like 4 days a week. And then I took my PTO, so it was like 3 days a week every other week, so I could focus on my own stuff. And I was like, I started helping them find a VP of marketing. So I found my replacement.
Such a cool deal. Like, it's a great relationship.
It doesn't work that way. Not in oil and gas anyway.
They're like, get out of here and you're out.
But I think it can. I think you can if you figure out a good relationship.
Yeah,
right? I think most people don't try to do it because you're not thinking about it. But I was like, look, I want them to have a win. And what I've realized by that point in my life, my coworkers at Oversee.net, my boss, the CEO of the company, through the last 7 years, from when I started wheniwork.com to my consulting business, they actually they're the number one source of leads to me. All my coworkers, the people in different business units, they all went to different jobs. The CEO sold the business and like was doing another business, and they all wanted to hire me. And I was like, why? It's because I didn't quit. I gave them an option. And even when I gave them an option, I stuck it out. I would help people. So like helping people, giving them an option and quitting the right way is more important. And so I think it's like, how do you leave your job without like just mic dropping it and leaving them like in a bad situation?
Yeah.
And that 6 months was valuable time I probably shouldn't have wasted at that job. But like, I wanted to make sure they had a win. So I think just leaving in a really good note was what helped me get to the career. But yeah, ultimately I didn't really know exactly when, but with the second time around, it was just, I was making more money. And I'm not that risky. So I was like, well, this is making me money. It's working. I also know how to do it. And I know what I did wrong last time. Let's do it right this time. And so that's kind of where that's why I did WebProfits.
Right.
And not the SaaS businesses. And now it's kind of like everything is growing, and we figured out a way to kind of manage multiple businesses work.
So thank you so much, Sujans. This was amazing. It was like so much knowledge coming at you.
Hit you with some knowledge. It was really, really good.
Yeah, thank you.
So guys, this is our version of Perd Happy's You Heard with Perd.
That is the end of this story, and we're gonna stop talking now.